Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Fabiana, and today we're talking about one of the most important things you need to think about, which is not only how to grow your business, but how to grow yourself, how to build a personal development track that helps your business create unlimited earning potential based on your growth as a human being. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Fabiana, and today we're going to talk about one of the most important things you need to focus on while you are in the process of growing your business, which is growing yourself. When I started building my first business, I will be honest, I did not realize how closely together personal development came with business development. I thought it was all about tactics, strategies, and that was all I put my attention on. I remember being a hustling entrepreneur. Oh my goodness, I would just focus on just working. At that time, I didn't have kids. I was fresh out of the university system and just starting a business, putting all my life into it. I remember spending many sleepless nights. I remember driving around and eating in my car while I was going from one errand to the other. I remember just focusing so much on survival, just building the business, spending day in and day out in our incredible mom and pop brick and mortar Superior Academy of Music school, thinking that I had to take care of myself or that I had to develop my own skills. All of those things were not even in my radar, to be honest. The good news is that, yes, the business went well. We survived those first few months, critical years of any new business, as most businesses typically don't make it. We did, but we also had to experience a lot of setbacks. From a health standpoint, we were building it in an unhealthy way. When I say we, I mentioned my husband too, because we were both in the same track together. And we did it together, and we were both just fresh out of the university and kind of focusing on that. So after having our first son in 2014, it was a strong halt. We discovered, wait a minute, we cannot just live, breathe, eat, sleep, running the business. We actually have to take care of a human being. We need to now be mindful and take care of ourselves so that we can take care of our son, and all of the dynamic of how we ran our business shifted. We had to be a lot more strategic in protecting our time, managing things more efficiently, not spending all day running the business and doing things administratively and just on top of that teaching one-on-one lessons, but instead trying to make sure that we had some time to recover. Obviously, the sleep deprivation and everything that happens when you have a baby hit us hard, right? And even though the process of starting our parent life, becoming parents, was not an easy one, we were so enmeshed in building and running and scaling our school that even when I went into labor, before going to see my midwife, I went to the academy first because our, at the time, assistant that was taking care of the school, or was supposed to be the one holding the fort for the academy while we were at the hospital, she just decided to quit, and she didn't even give us notice. So we didn't know if she had died in a car accident, if she was in a hospital or something. And so, believe it or not, my water broke, and I had to actually go to my academy to see what's going to happen with the school while I'm heading to the hospital. So that's how connected we were, from being entrepreneurs to becoming parents. And it was an incredible shift to actually realize that when we started having now the new responsibility of having our son and having to take care of our son and having to take care of ourselves so that we could keep our sanity, we actually realized how inefficient we were working in our business, how much redundancy we had, how many repetitive things we were doing that were unnecessary, but we were just taking those steps because we had no reason to become more efficient. We were not being forced to. So right now, chances are in your business, if you are like most entrepreneurs that start, chances are you're doing too much and you're not even realizing how inefficient you're working. And perhaps 80% of what you're spending your time on is not actually what is going to get you to that ultimate result. There's 20% of what you do, right? That's called the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, right? Chances are 20% of your activities are the actual ones that are going to take your business to that next step. But you're not going to be able to know that unless you develop a desire for continual education. So that brings me to my first pillar of ensuring that you have personal growth alongside your business growth. You see, after this first adventure of having a business, having our child, and then moving to Texas to start a university curriculum and having to force the business to run itself, basically, much to the dismay of our current advisors at the time and people who knew us, they thought we were nuts. Like, how could we just move and leave our music school and go to another state? And how is that supposed to work out? Who does that when you're a music teacher and running a school? And so it took us 8 months to crack our heads open and to say, okay, how can we create better systems so that our school actually runs on its own, doesn't need us to be physically present in Florida, and we could actually move our family to Texas and start a university program, building a curriculum and becoming a professor, right? So that shift opened my eyes and my husband's eyes to the amount of redundancy that we were employing in our day-to-day business. And it helped us not only become more efficient and succeed in putting the business on autopilot, but over the long term, the business became more profitable than when we were both in it every day, all day, teaching the lessons, running the school, cleaning the bathroom, you name it, we did it all. We were running all the roles. Never in a million years did I think one day we would actually move and that we would have a business in a different state and it would somehow not only survive without us, but actually thrive. So this is to show you how when you start changing the way you approach your business and you start asking yourself, not just what do I need for my business to succeed, but actually who do I need to become? What are my own personal traits that I need to develop? How can I start changing my habits to start becoming the leader that my business needs me to become? That's when you start developing a better questioning criteria, a better thought pattern. But you can only develop a different perspective if you embrace new skills. And when I say new skills, there's many things that you're going to want to learn about building a business. There's marketing, there's sales, there's financial management. But the most important thing that I want you to realize is that leadership will actually make or break your personal growth. Why? Because the more you can help others get results for you, and help build your vision alongside of you and be effective in inspiring people to gather around you, to be part of your vision, to refer people to you, to become clients of yours, to become team members of yours. The more you can develop yourself as a leader, all the other steps that you need for your business will be taken care of. Why? Because I'm sorry to break it to you, but you should not do everything in your business. If you're a solopreneur right now listening to this episode, this is the reality. Is if you are wearing all the caps in your business, you're doing all the things yourself, you are always going to feel stuck and you're going to stay at a certain level, and it will require you shifting how you think and how you make decisions and bringing people in. Even if you start with a part-time assistant or an intern or a relative or your spouse or your son or someone who can come in and start doing things alongside of you, your ability to lead people into getting results for you so that everything doesn't depend on you, that is the most important skill that you're going to need to develop as you build your business. Because no matter how good you are at marketing, which yes, of course, you do need to know those skills. You want to know enough to be dangerous, as I like to say. But you don't have to be the one doing it. You don't need to do all the things in your business. There are going to be some core parts of what you're doing right now that only you can do, at least at this stage. But then there's a lot of other things that you want to offload, take it on other people's plates and build the systems and the procedures so other people can do it for you. So number one, remembering that for you to build your business, you need to build your own identity, your own skill set, and you need to, most importantly than anything, become a better leader. Now, you may have heard the saying, oh, so-and-so is a natural born leader. You're a natural leader. Yes, there are people who have a natural ability to rally those around them and maybe have charisma, communication skills, empathetic skills. Yes, but that doesn't mean you cannot become a great leader. Leadership is a skill, just like music, just like sales, just like marketing. Leadership can be taught, leadership can be learned. Don't, feel that, oh, I'm not good at managing people. Don't say, oh, I would like to get help, but I don't know what to do with someone. How would I work with someone? That's one of the biggest barriers I see the musicians I guide come up with was oh, I would like to get help, but I don't know what to do with the person. How would I guide the person? How would I make sure the person is getting results? All those questions can be answered along the way while you start getting people. You don't need to just get stuck in not taking the steps because you don't know how to handle the person or how to manage the person. All of that will be something you will learn along the way. So that's the first thing is, are you continuously developing new skills? Are you looking for ways to grow your skills and specifically your leadership skills? If the answer is yes, congrats, you're on your way to creating a thriving business that is based on both personal and business alignment. But if not, that's your first starting point, starting today. Number two, you're going to want to develop an ability to constantly reinvent your steps, your strategies, and yourself. Why? Because anything you create will be subject to how people react to it, how people respond to it, how the market feels about it. There are going to be seasons of change. There's the holiday seasons. People are in a certain mindset. There's the summer where people take off. Most musicians dread the summer months because your income dips. It's this dread of oh, now all my students are leaving. My income is going to crash. What do I do? And there's this fear and anxiety that cripples so many musicians that I work with around what's going to happen in the summer. Well, good news. If you haven't checked my first episodes where I talk about how to build a framework and a business model based on trading your knowledge instead of your time, you eliminate that problem, right? I digress for a second here, but it's important that you know the right model will eliminate the summer woes, if you will, because you can create a system where you have students coming in all year round for 6 months initially, and then you just renew on a month-to-month basis, and they have a continuous thing to look forward to, and they're working with you all year round. There's no such thing as I'm going to take the summers off. You can build a system where they are constantly getting that next step, that next direction, and keeping the income stable. So that's a side note. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, make sure you go and listen to our first maybe 5 or 6 episodes in the sequence here of the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast, where I break down step by step how to build that type of model. But anyway, coming back to this idea of flexibility and change. When you are in the process of building a business and you're focusing on, okay, what are the strategies? What are the tactics? One of the most important qualities that you're going to want to incorporate is your ability to adapt. Just like nature, right? We have seasons. We have summer, we have winter, we have fall, we have spring. There are seasons in nature. The same thing happens in business. There are seasons where you're in a growth spurt. There are seasons where it dries up and you have to reinvent what you're doing to create the change, to build that momentum, to break that inertia. As you are able to understand which season you are in, there are seasons where you are indeed playing all the roles. There are seasons where you may be the marketer, the teacher, the salesperson, the financial management. You may be cleaning your business like we did when we started. Like, yes, there are seasons where you have to do everything, but then when you know that that's just a period of time and it's not going to stay like that forever, when you are clear on the vision of where you want to take this business and you start building clarity around all those roles that you're playing yourself in order to be able to later delegate that to others, even if you're the one doing it all, you're still building the foundations and the structure for other people to come and take that off your plate eventually. But none of that's going to happen if you get stuck in the season you're in, or worse, if you feel like the season you're in is going to stay forever. So, for example, sometimes when we're going through struggles and challenges, we feel like it's always going to be that way. Oh no, like I have to deal with this thing and it's like this problem and like, oh my goodness, like when is this going to end? No, understanding that as each problem comes in, your ability to solve those problems will help you get ready for the next season. There will be the dawn after the dark, right? There will be a season where you're now going to be able to move forward until you get stuck again. And so your ability to say, okay, I'm in a season of winter right now. What do I need to do to adapt to the cold, to the leaves that are falling from the tree, right? To the wind? What do I do to adapt? Oh, now we're in the summer. Fantastic. Okay, now what do I do to adapt? It's so hot and humid. What do I do to adapt? I'm giving you these analogies of just like we adapt to the seasons, you need to adapt to your business. The worst thing you can do is fixate yourself and say, I am going to continue doing the things I've been doing, whether it's cold or hot, whether it's sunshine or rain. I am going to just do it this way because this is what I'm used to. I'm going to give you a very cool statistic that will blow your mind. The 2020 census, and by the way, all of the ones in the 40 years prior, showed that 90% of people who cross 6 figures stay at that income level. Okay? Why? Because the skills they developed that got them to 6 figures gave them this relative sense of stability, and they're not willing to reinvent themselves and to change what they were doing in order to cross that path. They're comfortable in that level of success, and so they stay there. They're unwilling to change things, to maybe relearn new things and unlearn what got them there. There's 10% of people who cross the 6-figure mark, and from those 10% of people who cross the 6-figure mark, 80% of these people actually get to 7 figures. Let me repeat. From the 10% people that cross the 6-figure mark, 80% of those people actually make it to multiple 6 and 7 figures. Why? They are willing to adapt and develop new skills that require them to unlearn what got them to 6 figures in order to learn what will get them to 7. What does that mean? They're okay delegating. They're okay becoming better leaders. They're okay releasing control of what's familiar in order to embrace a sense of uncertainty to what's ahead. They're okay bringing people in and building the systems and delegating and creating new pathways for others to take things off their plate, even if they're not sure what it's going to look like. And because they develop these new flexible mindsets, growth mindsets, and skills that get them to build more leverage in the way they work, 80% of that 10% group of people actually make it to 7 figures. That should just blow your mind to actually realize that everything you're looking for right now is going to come at the other side of your willingness to be flexible, adaptable, and sometimes let go of what's familiar in order to embrace the new skills that will take you to the next stage in your business. So cool. I love sharing that. Again, number 1, making sure you're continuously learning new skills. Number two, embracing this change mindset and flexibility, adaptability, not holding on to what got you to a certain level of success and trying to just stay there and do the same thing over and over again. No, being able to say, now I have to release what's familiar in order to go into the next stage of my business. And if you do that, you may be one of those lucky people, which I don't know if they're lucky. I think luck is when you intersect preparation with opportunity, right? But that's the idea. You can create your luck, if you will, by developing these new adaptable patterns of decision-making process and behaviors, right? And number three, of course, we could not talk about personal growth in alignment with business growth unless we talk about prioritizing your self-care, your wellness, your physical body, your temple. Your body is your business. Repeat after me. My body is my business. This is one of the mantras of one of my health coaches that is so powerful, because when you realize that if you have a business, but you are unhealthy, you are not able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, literally, then what's the point? Like, why do we even do this? If you cannot show up in your best self, be energized, revitalized, and make a difference to those around you through you actually being in physical and mental and emotional alignment, then eventually your business is going to get to a breaking point, because you, as the leader, the visionary, the thought leader, the creator of this beautiful movement you're building, is stuck, emotionally, physically, and just in a state of constant decline. So how do you combat that? Making sure that you take your self-care, your priority, your wellness, whatever that looks like for you, with almost like as seriously as you were to take any other area of your business, like marketing, like sales, financial management. Wellness needs to be one of your pillars. This is one of the ways that I've focused in my business, in the company that I've built, in the culture that I've created, with the team that I work with, and even in the work I do with musicians, is not forgetting that your body is your business. And if you neglect your body and you neglect what you need to feel healthy, whether it's the right diet, whether it's the right exercise, the right cycle of movement, whether it's access to sunlight during the day, not being indoors all day, whether it's being able to connect with nature, to connect and feel that replenishment, whether it's being more in tune with your musical practice, your journaling, your writing, whatever makes you feel in alignment with your inner peace and your inner body and allows you to connect body, mind, and soul with your business endeavors. That's what's ultimately going to be as important as being a good leader, as being a good decision maker, as being a good salesperson, all the things that you need to become to succeed in your business. Now, I'll be honest, when I started my online business in 2020, I was at this stage in my life where I felt that I was not in alignment. I was not truly living in congruence with what I knew I needed compared to what I was experiencing. I was a new mom. I had a 5-year-old, my second son, who was born in 2019. I was running a university program full-time in a tenure track position and my music school remotely. Primarily, my husband was taking care of it, but I was still kind of in the supportive role. And I had, on paper, checked all the boxes, like check, success, and all the markers. However, I felt broken. I felt burned out. I felt like I was working extremely hard and not getting the results that I wanted. And so this is when this idea of packaging my skills, building an online business kind of started bubbling in my mind, thinking, what if I could find a way to work where I could just help people through what I know and not have to be always depending on either my full-time job or, the other things that I was doing, but instead just serve and let people access my brain, basically access my expertise and just build that. I wasn't able to create a self-care routine and practice until I made the decision that I was not going to build anything else unless I could have control over my schedule. That is what made me prioritize self-care and what led to me eventually letting go of my job in 2021 to say, no, I don't have to do it all. I don't have to be the university professor, the mom, the wife, the entrepreneur remotely, the online entrepreneur. I don't have to be all these things and just spread myself so thin. I need to prioritize building a business that gives me time to be with my family, to take care of myself, and to be in a state of alignment and balance without feeling so stretched. This is ultimately a decision that you get to make. And trust me, no matter how challenging you may feel right now, your circumstances are, perhaps you're telling yourself, I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to cook my meals and eat healthy. And I have to do this. I have to do that. That is just a mindset switch. If you can start changing that and saying, where in my schedule, where in my duties, where in my life do I need to make changes so that I can create the space for prioritizing health, self-care, mindness, wellness, nutrition, movement, whatever that looks like for you. The question is, what do you need to do to get there? Because there is no doubt that you can. So to recap everything we talked about today, if you are interested in growing your business, keep in mind that your growth in your business will be directly related to your personal growth. Personal growth and business growth go hand in hand. And if you are focusing on creating the right learning habits, making sure that you are constantly surrounding yourself by new information, new strategies, new people that are opening your mind to new possibilities that you may not know existed, at the same time that you are embracing change, becoming flexible, adaptable to the different seasons that you may be experiencing in your business, the highs, the lows, and at the same time prioritizing your own sense of well-being and self-care, those three pillars will help you create not only a successful business, but more importantly, a successful life. And that's what you're here for, isn't it? So I hope this helps. Share with me your takeaways. Leave us a review. I'd love to hear how this episode or any of our other episodes are helping you better shape your thoughts, create better strategies, and live your best life. That is what I'm here for. And I look forward to hearing from you. As always, until next time, let's prosper together.